I'm BERNINA Expert Amanda Murphy, and this month on BERNINA's blog, WeAllSew.com, I'll be teaching you how to quilt row 6, which is the center row of this sampler. You'll begin by establishing a diamond framework by extending the seam lines of the diamonds in the middle of the row up to create another set of diamonds as shown. I'll use aqua thread and my every angle quilting template to do this. You'll echo quilt this framework 3/4 of an inch away from the first line you quilted. So I'm using the lines on my every angle quilting template to establish that 3/4 inch. Now I'll quilt the other side. So again, I'm using the lines on my ruler to be sure that I'm extending those lines correctly. And then I travel over 3/4 of an inch and then quilt back down, echo quilting my line. And I'll do this in each of the corners that are below the zigzag row. At each of the upper corners of these diamonds, I quilted a 3-inch heart inside a 5-inch heart. So I started with my 5-inch heart template and I quilted halfway around. And this video is a little speeded up. I actually went slower than this. And then I switched to my 3-inch template. I quilted both sides of my 3-inch heart. And I'm using the center seam in the piecing to help with alignment here, to make sure that my hearts are centered within the block. Now I switch back to my 5-inch heart, and with such a big template, it's important to make sure you're always holding the template over an area that is supported by the ruler base. So when I feel unsupported, I stop and I move my hands and adjust my grip. Then I brought back down my handlebar and I quilted it a stippled background behind the heart. This is optional. If you wanted a more lightly quilted quilt, you could of course leave the background open. If your stipples appear like they have corners where there should be rounded edges, it can help to decrease your stitch length. I probably have it set around 12 or 13 here. I don't usually decrease it beyond 13 unless I'm securing stitches. Next, mark vertical lines that connect the points of our zigzag rows. This will help us in the next step. You'll quilt around the top of the diamonds in the center of the row, quilting 45 degrees that travel from motif to motif as shown. Echo quilt the framework that you just created with lines that are 3/4 of an inch above. So you can see I'm using the lines on my template so that I don't have to mark the quilt further. And I know that my pivot point should be right on that marked line. If you're a little off, that doesn't matter, as that marked line will ultimately be sprayed away. To make the quilting more cohesive, we'll be filling in the background with 1/2-inch and 1-inch channels of quilting, similar to the area next to the border. Traveling over the framework lines, quilt lines that are 1/2 inch away from the zigzag seams, and then 1 inch away, and then 1/2 inch away again. Do the same working from the feature fabric diamonds upward. And note that by doing the quilting in this order, any discrepancies will happen in the central channels of the rows, so will feel deliberate and be less noticeable. Next, we'll fill in the 1-inch channels with fishbone quilting. Next, quilt the seams around the bottom of the diamonds in the middle of the row, quilting 45-degree lines again to travel from motif to motif and create even more diamonds. Next, you'll quilt the diamonds in the middle of the row. Quilt a 3-inch heart inside of a 5-inch heart in all 4 corners of the feature fabric diamonds. Travel along the edges of the diamonds to get to the next corner. Next, you'll quilt a 3-inch heart in the center of the quilted diamonds that you formed with your traveling threads. To finish the quilting, quilt the rest of the rows as you come to them, rotating the motifs 180 degrees. Bernina and I hope you have enjoyed the Diamonds 2 quilt along. We've really loved seeing your work, and we hope you'll join us next time on We All Sew.